Hi, my name's Tom Blake. I'm a certified residential specialist with RE/MAX Liberty, and I am here with...
I'm Brianna Kelly. I'm the branch manager and a loan officer at Annie Mac Mortgage.
And we have been having a lot of fun doing some videos together, pretty much monthly. And this month, we have a lot of times we end up talking about first-time buyers because it just seems like whenever you talk to a loan officer, that's all anybody wants to talk about is first-time buyers.
Right.
But they aren't the only people on the planet, as it turns out. There's, there's other stages of life besides buying your first house.
Right.
And those other folks need help with loans too. Actually, it can be significantly more complicated.
It is.
So we have, people who are maybe they were in their first time house and they need to upsize because they've welcomed another human being into the world or another few human beings into the world. Maybe those other human beings have grown up and you are now empty nesters and you have a very big house that is difficult to manage and you don't want to do the lawn anymore, or you don't want to shovel anymore, or maybe, and you want to go into a smaller, maybe single level house, and then there's people who just are sick of Massachusetts and want to go somewhere else, right? It's just complete relocation. So I am going to ask questions of Bree, very specifically related to anyone who is a seller and a buyer at the same time. So if it's all right, the first question I'd like to ask is what loan products are best suited for buyers who are downsizing or planning to purchase, a second home in a different climate?
Okay. So everybody's situation is very different. So it's really going to depend on what your end game is. So some people that are downsizing have substantial debt that they still own on their existing property because maybe they use the equity in the property to pay for college or home repairs or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So a lot of the times people will do it that it's pending sale of their property, and whatever the net proceeds, the money they're going to make on the sale of the house, they would apply to the new property. So a lot of the times that's just a straight, we'll say conventional loan. That's one scenario. Then you also have the people that will end up with no mortgage at the end, so they'll sell their house and then be able to just pay for the new house in cash.
That's the ideal scenario, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
What's tricky in that situation is you have people that, in this particular market in the Northeast especially, where having a home sale contingency doesn't make you as strong in that particular instance. So a lot of the times people are like, well, how can I do it that I can maintain my existing property, keep my house, buy the house, the new house as well, and then figure out how I'm going to utilize that equity in between. And people will hear things like bridge loans and things like that.
Yeah, there are definitely different kinds of loan products, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that. So you hear a lot about the lock-in effect right now, right? So people they have this great rate. They're thinking about whether they actually should or shouldn't buy a house, but they don't. And they coincidentally they haven't saved a lot of money, right? So they don't have a lot in savings, but because of all the money that they actually are wealthy because in 2019, the house was worth as much as like 50% less sometimes.
Right.
So they have this big pool of equity, but no way to tap it. So how would you use that, or is it possible to use that to get into your next house? I guess that's the next question.
Right. Yep. So in that particular situation, you have a couple of things. Like I said, you can have you sell your house. When you sell the house, whatever that equity is, you apply to the new mortgage. And it's one transaction, but you'd have to close the same day. Then you have the ability, if you can qualify with both mortgages, maybe you take an equity loan out of the property to be able to use as the down payment on the new property. Now, there's some instances where people have some cash saved and they'll do like, we'll do a 5% down mortgage right now. Once I sell the house, whatever those proceeds are, I'm gonna take it, apply it to the principal, and re-amortize the loan. So that's another thing that people will do. You have to check with the lender. Not everybody allows that. Not every loan product allows for that.
Why not?
Like for a VA, for example, they don't typically allow you to re-amortize. They tend to force you to refinance in that situation.
Okay.
So it's called recasting. That's the name. That's the word that you'll hear. And there's different things that are attached to that and how they process it. An experienced loan officer will help you walk through that piece of it, but there's no guarantees. But now you have to feel comfortable saying that you have mortgage A, you're still making a mortgage payment on this, and then you have another mortgage payment. What happens if you don't sell the house right away? Are you going to feel comfortable for a month or two or floating both mortgages?
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation, right? So yeah, you definitely. So buying and selling a house, or selling and buying a house, is definitely an uncomfortable experience in a variety of ways, right? So, from my perspective, you can do it in one of three ways, right? You can sell the house first, right? Find an interim housing solution. You know, live in an apartment, live with family, whatever the case may be. You've got a fistful of cash. You don't have a mortgage sale or a contingency to sell the other house, and you're in the best possible position to go buy a house because you're working with all cash, or you have a really substantial down payment. You don't have there's no like lag time between when you can close, so you can close a meeting. You got a bunch of money, right? So that's great. You also move 3 times.
My mother just did that. She's in my basement right now. That didn't sound right.
She's not trapped in the basement. She's
Sometimes I send some water to her. It's fine. Yeah. She sold her house. Yeah. Because she didn't want to have any contingencies and she wanted to be a straight cash buyer. Yep. So she moved in with me, and not everybody has that option, but she did. And now she's moving out soon, and I'm very sad, but that's okay. But now she's a cash buyer, and she's closing in a very abbreviated turn time. So yeah.
And that's the strongest position. Like if I was to recommend, I know it's uncomfortable, if I was to recommend from a realtor standpoint too, that is by far the best way to manage it. There's, a lot of logistics involved. The next way would be to try to time it. So now we have to know what your house is going to sell for, probably have it on a market with what's called seller satisfactory relocation clause. And what that means is we have the property under contract, but once it's under contract, the buyer has to be willing to wait for you to go identify a property, get that property under contract, close on that property, and then sell it to you. So, and then you're trying to do all the things that would, believe me, trying to close on a house and move into another house all in the same 24, 48 hour period is a real trick. You might want to do that with some help. And that's an entirely different video. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or,
other than just making the prep piece of it and making sure you have stuff moved out in pods but that's what his job is. It's just stuff that but the logistics piece of that one, on the finance side of the world.
Tell me about what happened with you.
Okay, so here's where it starts to get a little tricky, because what happens if your buyer's finance to the house that you're selling falls through or has an issue or a delay? Then you run the domino effect that maybe if the other house, the person that you're buying, and they're buying a new house. So there's obviously pros and cons, and I would say 75% of the time, and maybe it's higher than that, but I find 75% of the time everything goes off without even a hitch.
Agreed.
Domino, boom, boom, boom. Everybody closes on time. It's a big happy day, and your hand's gonna fall off from all the signing. But we have been seeing some things where, and this is why it's important for the first-time home buyer people to make sure they're getting the process done properly, because if they don't get their financing in order to buy your house, you're at risk of not being able to close on your new house. So
if I could throw down on that one for a second. So as your realtor, what I should be doing is really vetting that pre-approval and having a really good relationship with the loan officer on the buy side as well. Not your loan officer. Ideally, if it was me and Bree and I, let's see if I can use the right grammar there. If Bree and I were working together to help you, I would be trying to manage the sale of your house, and she would be managing the purchase of your house. But we do have, again, that other person there. We really want to make 100% sure that your transaction is going to be funded and there's going to be no hiccups. And you're right, 75% of the time there aren't any hiccups. Everybody wants the same things.
Everything just goes so smooth, and you're just like, great, perfect. And there's the other, say that the other 10% is maybe there's some bumps in the road, things like that. And then you have the other ones where, you do have some substantial issues that may come up. But again, that's a conversation that you need to have and make sure you're going in with understanding the risks attached to that. And then, so what do you think? You said your last scenario is? So
the last scenario is what we alluded to first, right? So in this particular market, this is very much a seller's market, right? So as long as your house is prepared properly, marketed properly, and you're not asking an absolutely ridiculous number for it, it most likely will sell in well, statistically 21 days right now. Or at least be under contract in 21 days. The actual process would be more like 30 to 60, something like that, maybe a little bit longer, depending upon that seller's satisfactory relocation clause we talked about. So what I meant was, let's say you want to go buy another house first, and now you own 2 properties, right? So you have an overlap the other way. Instead of the first way where you sold out the house completely and you had the interim housing solution, and the second one is you try to time it all together. In this instance, you have really great credit. You work with ReFirst, and you know what you can afford with still having that other house as yours, or maybe you own it outright, who knows. But you do go through that really uncomfortable what if you now own 2 properties and you are struggling to sell property, your primary residence, right? So have you seen, obviously you've probably seen stuff like that, right?
Oh, I have. And I've quite a few people right now are going through the motions, or say that they do get their house under contract. And I just have one right now. They're actually closing next week. They had a condo to sell, and they had the ability to put the money down now, and then they're going to take the excess cash on the sale of their condo, but they closed a month ago on their new house. So they knew what the calculated risk was of having those 2 mortgages and having the higher mortgage payment for a little while, because like we had talked about the principal reduction. So they went through that. They understand the risk. We went through all of the numbers, and I said, listen, this is your worst case scenario, and if you don't sell it right away, it actually is working out that they need to make 1 mortgage payment. Then they're going to do the principal reduction, recast the loan, and have the lower mortgage payments, and sold the condo. So now they only have that 1 mortgage.
Right. So I want just for fun, I want to slow you down with the whole recasting thing. So let's talk about what recasting is exactly, because most people have no idea what you just said. So, so what is recasting? So
say that you buy a new house for $600,000, and you do you put $50,000 down just for the down payment, right? For right now. But you know that you're going to make $200,000 on your house. So your end game is to only owe $250,000 left on this property. So right now you have a $450,000 mortgage for the time being. You sell your house, and then the existing house, you take the additional $200,000 and apply it to the principal. So now you only owe $250,000. But your mortgage payment is still based upon the $450,000 that you originally owed. So some people are okay with the higher mortgage payment, because maybe they would have done a 15-year, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to still pay it off in 15 years. It'll probably be less than that, but yeah, and I can help you with an amortization schedule on that. But they're like, you know what, I want the lower payment. So they go to the mortgage company and they say, hey, listen, I would like you to, for my existing term, my 359 payments that I have left, based on my new principal balance, can you tell me what my principal and interest payments would be to be paid off in 30 years? So basically what they're doing is now they're going to apply that big chunk of money and lower your payments based upon the new mortgage balance. These are all what ifs. So but most of the time when we do that, I help you calculate payments of what your end result of your mortgage is, try to do worst case scenario, and what are you going to make for net proceeds on the sale of your house. So if you're thinking, I'm going to make $250,000, I go, let's say if you only make $200,000, what would that look like? Just because, sometimes I like to play worst case scenario, but in this market, you'll probably do okay, especially in New England.
We should always play worst case scenario, right? We should. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. I mean, an issue could show up with your house at home inspection that you didn't know about, or there's a whole.
Or maybe you're just like a fire sale and you just want to get rid of it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too.
We've seen it, and we've seen it in situations where you're selling a family house, or maybe you're selling it to a family member and you wouldn't be getting normal market value on the property, or something like that. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the interim is making you comfortable for that that period of when you're buying and selling, whether it be you buy now, sell later, sell first, then buy, or if you're doing the situation where you're doing the simultaneous and then you want to apply the principal. Just need to know all of what the risks, positive and negative, would be attached to that, because the positives about not having a home sale contingency in this market is pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. So as usual, I had 10 questions. We're on 1 and we're at 15 minutes, right? So We can dig into a lot of these things. So these are really important. You are truly, and a lot of times I'm explaining the different scenarios to a seller, and you're choosing your version of what you're most comfortable with, or in some instances, what you're least uncomfortable with, right?
That's probably the best description. And there's one other program that we have too, which is buy now, sell later.
Oh yeah, what's that? You were telling me about that
So
today.
the buy now, sell later is something that they will allow. So what will happen is Andy Mac will actually purchase the other house for you while you're selling your house, so you're only making the one mortgage payment. There's definitely a cost associated, but some people, the risk factor attached to that is less.
Which other house?
Uncomfortable. The new house.
Oh, they'll buy the new house.
We buy the new house. You pay rent while we've bought the new house while you're waiting to sell.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
We could get into a longer video on that, but that's also an option.
Okay.
It's similar-ish to like a bridge loan for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
There's a lot of other stuff that happens with bridge loans that when you're cross-collateralizing, there's other things attached to that. So that's probably way more in depth for another video, but there's also that option that you have.
Okay.
Again, it goes back to risk, comfortableness with the risk that's attached to it, as well as
comfort level. Yeah.
And listen, and listen, it also has to do with, I want to make sure that I'm trying to, the end result's also you getting the most amount of money that you can from the sale and being able to process it. So not having multiple closings and things like that. So
risk is worth something to, people buy risk all the time, right? I mean, it's things are traded on risk all the time. So, your level of risk tolerance, really, you can buy your way out of some of that risk, right?
Yep.
So that would be a really good, we should probably do an entire video about that, but I'm supposed to do the training on that, and I haven't yet. So
unless some people are more risk adverse than others, right? And I tend to be more risk adverse, but I'm always going to give all the options that are attached to it and be like, listen, pro con. But having the job knowledge in the market and knowing the market that you're in, because this conversation would be much different if you were buying in a different type of climate of housing. So like where houses are sitting longer, we'll say in Florida right now, New England's that's not the market here. So
it's not.
It's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's very much a different conversation. Buyers markets and sellers markets are very, very different strategies.
Absolutely.
But it is important to understand, and for those of you naysayers out there who may be thinking this is turning into a buyer's market, it is not turning into a buyer's market in Massachusetts. It's not. That's a whole another long video that we could quantify all day long, actually.
Yeah, and I think the general consensus is that as we're hearing the Fed talking about, yes, they didn't cut now, but they're talking about continuously, and everyone's now saying their rates are going to kind of slide back down. All of those buyers that weren't interested in the market right now, they're going to come back because it's going to change their affordability. With all those buyers, are going to be more competition, which means the house prices are going to go up. So a good, bad, or indifferent, a rate drop is not great for anybody right now in Massachusetts. It means the principal is going to go up, and you will be paying more principal with a slightly modified rate, right? So the interest rates, we're not talking in the threes. No.
50 basis points, maybe something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they think the rates are going to end up probably eventually in the high fives type of situation. It's going to take some time to get there.
That's like 2027 though.
Oh yeah. We're talking. We're probably saying like even right now we're seeing the rates like in the sixes, for example, which last year I think we were talking about they were pretty much sitting in the sevens. So it's a win.
Yeah, hey, every point counts, as it turns out. Literally, every point does count. So it really does. And the good news is, if you buy at a high rate, you can, you're marrying the house, but you can date the rate, as it turns out, and that's a interesting. I know that's kind of like
some of that dating went a lot longer, I think, than for some people, because I think that, and I think we had these videos before where I was like, strategy-wise, you need to be comfortable with the mortgage payment.
Yeah, you really do.
Now, so yeah.
And that will never change. You should always be ready to pay that mortgage and not be projecting what's going to happen with the universe, because the word of the year is uncertainty at the moment, right?
Isn't that the truth?
But let's not get off on a negative tangent. So let's see, where are we at? Well, we're at 20 minutes. Do you want to leave it there, or do you want to ask another question?
Good. I think that's good.
Okay, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave it there. and we will see you next month. So I am sitting again here with
Brianna Kelly. I'm the branch manager in Leominster at Annie Mac Mortgage.
and we can be reached at
Oh, I'm so sorry. My email is bkelly, Kelley, at anniemac.com, and it's ANNIE-MAC, because we didn't want to make it too difficult for you. And my phone number is 978-852-6376.
And my name's Tom Blake. I'm a certified residential specialist, although on the internet it's Thomas G. Blake Realtor. And you 508-951-2803. Google it. Make me feel good. See if it comes up on Google. And you can also reach me at tom@homesjustforyou.com. That's all one word and all spelled out. tom@homesjustforyou.com. Thanks. We'll see you again next month.
Take care.
Bye now.